Two Chairs No Waiting, episode number 733, Return to Mayberry Again. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you by the folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Go over and check it out. They've got the Andy Griffith Show 50th anniversary Best of Mayberry DVD where you can watch Return to Mayberry if you would like to. You can pick up that DVD over at Weavers. While you're there, you might want to, it's Mayberry Tea Towel is out there. We've been talking about T-shirts. It's a tea towel. That's right. You can give this to your mom for Mother's Day. Great gift. Head over to weaversdepartmentstore.com and check it out. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners just like you. The executive producer of episode number 733 is Paul Mulick. The Patreon patron of the week is Eric Lowry. And the High Sheriff of Two Chairs is Chris Merrill. Thanks to all of them for supporting the podcast and donations and giving me, ways to keep this thing going. And thank you for being here, for encouraging me to keep it going. I really appreciate that as well. I mean, we've been doing this podcast since 2008. So I do appreciate all the support I've gotten over the years. Thank you. Who am I? If you're brand new, I'm Alan Newsom, the host of Two Chairs No Waiting. And I can talk about the Andy Griffith Show all day, evidently, because, as I said, I've been doing this since 2008. So, I love it. And I'm always coming up with something new. Well, hey, it's May. As I'm recording this, it's May of 2023. And for the past several years, the MeTV network has shown extra Mayberry things during the month of May. You get that? It's the month of Mayberry. Oh, yeah, that's good, isn't it? Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I heard that on MeTV. Yes. So they've done that for quite a while. And I don't know that they're showing extra episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. They already show 2 every night, at least. But they are kicking off the month here, the very first weekend of May, coming up. If you're listening to this when it comes out, the first week of May, it's this weekend. So on Sunday, the 7th of May, 2023, at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, at 4 p.m., so it's an afternoon show, they're going to be showing the Return to Mayberry movie on MeTV. So definitely go over and check that out. And hopefully you're not getting this late and you're not hearing it too late so that you missed it. But even if you are, you can head over to Weavers and pick up a copy from the DVD if you'd like to. You can get there. But even if you can't do that, I think you'll enjoy what we're going to be talking about and learning about the movie and, kind of what happened to our Mayberry friends there in the reunion movie. So if you've never seen that, there's spoilers in here, so maybe you want to pause. Of course, it's only been since 1986 that you've had an opportunity to possibly see that movie. So I don't feel like there's a lot of spoilers. I guess it'd be like me saying there's spoilers in every episode of the podcast about the Andy Griffith Show, because I definitely tell things that happened. So hopefully I'm not spoiling the Return to Mayberry. This is not Mayberry Man. This is Return to Mayberry, the actual reunion movie. Now, that original reunion movie, it aired on April the 13th in 1986. Gosh, that's more than 18 years. It's around 18 years after the actual series, The Andy Griffith Show, ended. And, the Mayberry RFD was around too. But it was almost 2 decades later when this aired. 16 of the original cast members reunited for this movie. And to reprise the characters that they played, that all of us as fans knew and loved. And it was those same actors who played those roles over the 8 years of the Andy Griffith Show. Now, I will say, I was going back and doing some research on this, and on April the 11th, which was 2 days before the movie actually aired on television, the New York Times wrote a unfriendly review of the television movie, saying that it was, quote, a less than appealing reunion for the audience than it has been for its actors, end quote. Yeah, so it was a less appealing reunion for the audience than it may have been for its actors. That's the quote. Well, they were pretty much, to some degree, proven wrong, because Mayberry, the Return to Mayberry movie, was the highest rated television film movie for the entire 1985-86 season. That's right. When it aired, almost 1/3 of all the TV viewing public tuned in to watch that show. Almost 1/3. Can you imagine that now? So of everybody watching TV, 1/3 of all the people were watching The Return to Mayberry. So that's a big, big number. Now, in the movie, if you haven't seen it, hopefully you have, but you're going to see, you got all the main cast members. Had, I'll list off the actual characters. Andy Taylor was on there. Opie was on there. Barney, Gomer, Goober, Helen Crump, Howard Sprague, Thelma Lou, Ernest T. Bass, Charlene Darling, Briscoe Darling, all the Darlings, all the Darling boys, Otis. They were all on the movie. They were all there. So we had all these wonderful characters, and I should include, I guess, another one who was an actor who appeared on the Andy Griffith Show from time to time, Rance Howard. He was on there as well. So there were just so many people on this particular series, or this reunion movie, that I just don't know if you even noticed. Now, there are some things on there you may not have noticed. Now, TV Land has a great article that we're going to, not TV Land. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, MeTV. It's MeTV. MeTV has a great article. 9 things you never noticed about the reunion movie, Return to Mayberry. Okay. So that's what it says. So here, we're going to go into some of this, and I'm going to read this a little bit about it. It says, in the 80s, America missed Mayberry, and the proof was in the ratings. When Return to Mayberry aired in 1986, that special became the most watched TV movie of the year. Reunions and reboots can be pretty tricky propositions, but this sequel lived up to its name. It was not merely a reunion of the cast, because director Bob Sweeney had helmed 80 episodes of The Andy Griffith Show, while the writers, Harvey Bullock and Everett Greenbaum, were responsible for some of the greatest Mayberry tales ever told, such as The Pickle Story and The Mayberry Band. No wonder the formula remained intact. Now, so this is an article from last year, so you can revisit the Mayberry movie by heading over on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, the 7th of May, 2023. So here's some things you may not know. The original Mayberry had been destroyed. Well, destroyed, bulldozed. I'm not sure the right thing to say there. But in the 60s, the filming of the Andy Griffith Show took place on a place called the 40 Acres Lot, or it's in Culver City, California. And it was the hub for Desilu Productions. This is why you can spot familiar Mayberry businesses in other Desilu productions like Star Trek, the original series, Mission Impossible. You even see it in older things like The Adventures of Superman with George Reeves. You'll see that. However, in 1976, 10 years before the movie aired, the entire back lot was bulldozed. Oh, it hurts. That hurts, doesn't it? It really does. It really does hurt to hear that. So they actually bulldozed the entire area, and so Mayberry was no longer there. But they went out and found an area where they could kind of reconstruct the courthouse, which is what they ended up doing. And you can kind of spot the differences between what Mayberry looked like in 1986 on the reunion movie versus what it looked like in the series, right? So you'll be able to tell the difference in those two things. Now, the city that it was actually filmed in was Los, I got to say this right, Los Olivos, California, was the city where they actually filmed Return to Mayberry. And they went in and actually built the courthouse. That was the main thing they built, right on the corner lot area, for just this movie. And then it was just torn down. Isn't it? It just kills me. Wow, I'd love to have gone and seen that. I wish Los Olivos, Los Olivos. That's Olivos, as they say it. Los Olivos is a city in California where they actually reconstructed that, and then it didn't stay. So it's just like, ouch, that really hurts. So another thing that they mention in this article is that Judy Jetson was the voice of Aunt Bee in the movie. So she played, Frances Bavier had retired, Aunt Bee had retired from acting following her time on Mayberry RFD. In fact, she had moved to North Carolina, to a small town not far from the fictional Mayberry, not far from Mount Airy, North Carolina, actually. Some claim that Bavier did not reprise her role as Aunt Bee in Return to Mayberry for health reasons, because she passed away about 3 years later in 1989, while others speculate she was merely not interested. Thus, Aunt Bee does not appear in the reunion movie, though her voice is heard. That is actually the voice of Janet Waldo, who performed as Aunt Bee. She did Aunt Bee's voice. Now, she was Judy Jetson. You know the cartoon legend best is Judy Jetson and Penelope Pitstop and Josie in the Pussycats. She was Josie, and more. But she did a lot of things like that. And she did actually appear on the Andy Griffith Show as well in the episode A Wife for Andy. And you see her, and I can't think of her name. Somebody in the chat room, maybe they'll tell me her name. But she played the character that came over to Andy's house and when Barney was trying to fix Andy up. She was one of those characters that was waiting on Thelma Lou to get home. Anyway, so that she did Aunt Bee's voice. Now, you may not have known that. So if you watch it this coming Sunday, or if you get to watch it at any point, definitely look and listen and try to make sure you have got that. Now, next up, Karen Knotts, the daughter of Don Knotts, appeared as a role in the movie. Karen Knotts continues to carry on the legacy of her father to this day, touring in her one-woman comedy show, Tied Up in Knots. She also had a small role in this series where basically she played Opie's receptionist. So if you watch The Return to Mayberry, look for her. She's had other guest spots on TV shows like 8 is Enough and One Day at a Time, but you'll definitely see her in The Return to Mayberry as Opie's receptionist. So that's Karen Knotts. So be looking for Karen when you watch this. Next up is we had Ron Howard's dad is actually who marries Barney and Thelma Lou. So in Return to Mayberry, it really was a family affair. Rance Howard, who was no stranger to the Andy Griffith Show, he had been around the set the entire time with his son, Ron, and of course Clint was on there too. You probably remember him best as the governor's driver. Remember when Barney gave the governor a ticket? That was Rance. The episode is Barney and the governor. And he is also driving the bus when Cousin Virgil, was on the bus. You can spot him in Black Day for Mayberry and The Rumor, those episodes as well. But Rance Howard actually married Barney and Thelma Lou. So isn't that kind of cool? So one other thing they mention in this article is that Barney switched his car, the Mayberry squad car, was no longer a Ford. So Ford had always supplied the cruisers, the Mayberry patrol cars on the Andy Griffith Show. But they were always Ford Galaxies. Well, after Andy moved away and everything, you know, that's what the backstory is in the movie. I got some trivia I'm going to ask. I'm trying to avoid answering some of this. The town must have changed suppliers because Barney in the movie, the Mayberry squad car, is a 1981 Chevy Malibu. So that would be a kind of a neat thing for somebody to have as a 1981 Chevy Malibu that said Mayberry Sheriff on the side of it. That would be kind of cool. Nobody, very big Mayberry fans at Mayberry Days would recognize that, but that's who they. So Judy Jetson, the voice, she was Lavinia, and he says, "Hi, Amanda." It's Hi Lavinia. Okay, Lavinia was her name. Janet Waldo played. So did she play She played Amanda and said Hi Lavinia. That's who it was. Okay, so that's what the folks in the chat room are telling me. All right. So next up, we've got this. So this on the Mayberry Return to Mayberry movie was only the third time that Goober and Gomer appeared together on screen. They may be cousins, but they're not as close as you might think when it comes to sharing screen time. Goober, George Lindsay, made his debut in 1964 episode The Fun Girls. You remember the scene, Judy, Judy, Judy. Surprisingly, that was the only time that Goober and Gomer both appeared together on the Andy Griffith Show. Now, I said it was 3 times that they'd appeared together, so this may be more than folks realize, because that was on the Andy Griffith Show. They appeared together on that episode. A visit from Cousin Goober reunited the two again. The episode named A Visit from Cousin Goober reunited them again in Gomer Pyle USMC in 1965. So they were on screen on Gomer Pyle together. And then at last, the return to Mayberry. The cousins are closer than ever as they work together and are seen together on screen. So this was I thought that was a kind of a neat one that you might not have known that it was the third time, because I knew the Andy Griffith Show and I knew about Gomer Pyle that Goober had been on there, but I had forgotten it until I read this. So that would have tricked me. I'd have been tricked. All right. So next up, we've got that this was the final TV role in character for George Lindsay. That's what, so I'm not sure. I guess maybe Hee Haw had already ended. We'll see. They say, speaking of Goober, Return to Mayberry would prove to be the television's swan song of the character for actor George Lindsay. Well, there was a brief reprise in an unlikely place. It was Nashville Now, a talk show on the Nashville network in the early 90s. In 1991, the entire episode was devoted to the Andy Griffith Show, with the guest stars, or the stars of the Andy Griffith Show as guests. The cast was in town for a Mayberry reunion that was held at Opryland. Lindsay, Hal Smith, Betty Lynn, they all slipped into character for a short skit, and he would later make a couple of cameos as himself on Vicky and News Radio in the 90s. So I thought Hee Haw, I thought it might have been back around, but according to TV Land, it wasn't. So this was one of the last appearances of George as Goober. So I thought that was kind of cool. All right, so there's a certain Taylor child that just disappeared, just did not reappear. You remember the baby Samuel Taylor? You remember him? He was a child of Andy and Helen when they got married. He was first seen on Andy's Baby, the first episode of Mayberry RFD. He would have been Opie's kid brother, and he would have been about 17 years old, matter of fact, at the time of Return to Mayberry. However, there's no mention of him and nor is he seen. Now, the reason that is because Andy did not believe, and he's probably correct, that most people would even remember that there was a baby Samuel Taylor. They wouldn't have remembered that. So he did not want to confuse that in the reunion movie, because that the baby was never on the actual Andy Griffith Show. He was definitely seen on the Mayberry RFD, but they didn't believe people would remember the little baby, because like it was one episode. So anyway, that's why it wasn't there. And then finally, there were some notorious criminals from the Andy Griffith Show that went straight. That's right. In the episode The Christmas Story, an early episode of the Andy Griffith Show, Barney and Andy, they sit and read holiday cards in the Christmas episode. Remember that? The Huebreaker brothers, a trio of brothers locked up in the state pen, sent a card to Andy and Barney. And we see a close-up of that card from state prison. It says, "Greetings from state prison," if you'll remember that. Well, the Huebreaker brothers must have reformed after those 2 decades, after the 18 years after the Andy Griffith Show had ended. And they had opened a hardware store in Return to Mayberry. It was right there on the street. You could definitely see it. It said Huebreaker's Hardware. So that was definitely something you can see. So be watching for that in the movie when you watch it. So those are the things that I wanted to point out to you. I thought those were kind of fun, and hopefully you'll be able to watch the Return to Mayberry coming up this weekend. And if you don't, hopefully you have a DVD. So if you have some of the DVDs of the season sets, many of those include the Return to Mayberry movie. As I'd said at the beginning, if you have the 50th anniversary DVD, that one, it also has the Return to Mayberry movie as part of that, as do the Blu-ray versions of the series, complete series. So they have those as special editions as well. So go and check and make sure you don't already have a copy. And you can buy it individually on a DVD as well. You can buy a DVD of just the Return to Mayberry if you would like to. Those are available, but it's definitely, you can just watch it on one of those things or watch it on MeTV this weekend. All right. So now I ran through some of that stuff. So let's go there. They have a trivia challenge on there that was by Mayberry's own Mike Haviland. That's right. Our buddy, Mike Haviland, who dresses up as Sergeant Carter. And does stuff with us. He has got a trivia challenge for Return to Mayberry. So let's see how we do. All right. So here's our first question. So you guys are ready. It's multiple choice. So here we go. Who portrayed Opie Taylor's secretary while he was editor of the newspaper? Now you should be able to get this if you were just listening to me earlier. Who portrayed Opie Taylor's secretary while he was the editor of the newspaper in Mayberry? Was it Betty Lynn? Was it Joy Ellison? Was it Karen Knotts? Or was it Margaret Carey? So who was Opie's secretary? Well, I said receptionist earlier, but the answer is Karen Knotts. Karen Knotts. So I think you probably got that. All right. What was the name of the garage that Goober and Gomer owned? What was the name of the garage? Was it Wally's Service? Was it George Sapley's gas station? Was it Gomer's Service? Or was it G&G Garage? What was the name of the garage that Goober and Gomer owned? So the answer is it was G&G Garage. So as you're watching the movie, pay attention to some of these things. Who was running against Barney for sheriff of Mayberry? Now, this one might be a little harder for you. Was it Ben Woods? Was it Sheriff Patterson? Was it Roy Buckley? Or was nobody running against him? So who was running against Barney for sheriff of Mayberry? Who was actually campaigning against Barney? Was it Ben Woods, Sheriff Patterson, Roy Buckley, or was it just nobody? Nobody was running against him. Well, the the answer is Ben Woods. That's right, Ben Woods. You've had, what was it saying? You've had, something Fife. Vote for Ben Woods. So they had the speaker running out there. All right. Number 4. What was the name of Opie's wife? Now, this is pretty hard. If you hadn't seen it in a long time, or if you've never seen it, you won't know it. What was the name of Opie's wife? Was it Laura? Was it Eunice? Was it Paula? Or was it Joy? Opie's wife on Return to Mayberry. What was her name? Opie's wife. Was it Laura, Eunice, Paula, or Joy? The answer is Eunice, right? Yes, I got it right. Okay. I don't have the answers, by the way. I'm getting them right here with you. All right, number 5. What does the former town drunk Otis now do in Mayberry? In Return to Mayberry, what does Otis do? What does he do? Is he a vacuum cleaner salesman? Is he working for the town newspaper? Is he a barber? That should be a barber. Is he an ice cream salesman? All right. What does Otis do in Mayberry? What does Otis do in Mayberry and Return to Mayberry? What's his job? Was he a vacuum cleaner salesman working for the town newspaper? Was he a barber, or was he an ice cream salesman? Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. Yes, he was an ice cream salesman. Yeah, that's great. All right. Number 6. Andy lived in Cleveland, Ohio for more than 20 years before returning to Mayberry. What was his job there? Was he the county policeman? Was he a lawyer? That was in Atlanta. He wasn't in Cleveland. Was he a lawyer, a postal inspector, or was he retired? So Andy lived in Cleveland for more than 20 years before returning to Mayberry. What was his job? Was he a county policeman, a lawyer, a postal inspector, or was he retired? The answer is a postal inspector. That's right. He was a postal inspector. Number 7. Barney does a traffic safety skit in school. What is he dressed as? So Barney does a traffic safety skit in school, at an elementary school. What is he dressed as? Was he a policeman, a clown, a dog, or a giraffe? Selfish a giraffe. Was he a policeman, a clown, a dog, or a giraffe? In Return to Mayberry, he dressed as to do a safety skit, and he was a clown. He was a clown. That's right. Number 8, Andy delivers Opie's baby. So Andy delivers Opie and his wife's baby. Ooh, what was the sex of the baby? Was it a boy, a girl, or was it twin boys? Or was it twins, a boy and a girl? Oh my goodness. All right. Andy delivers Opie and his wife's baby. What was the sex of the baby? Was it a boy, a girl, twin boys, or twins that were a girl and a boy? I think the answer is boy, but you know what? I don't remember. Yes, it was a boy. Boy is correct. The boy. Chat room knew it. Good job, chat room. It was a boy. All right. Who first saw the so-called monster in Myers Lake? Oh, my goodness. Who first saw the monster in Myers Lake? Was it Goober, Gomer, Otis, or Barney? Oh, my goodness. I don't think I know this one either. All right, guys. What is it? Was it Goober, Gomer, Otis, or Barney that first saw it? I'm going to say, I think it might be Otis. Was it Otis? What's the answer? Folks in the chat room are saying it's Gomer. They're all saying it's Gomer, so I'm going to go Gomer because that's what the chat room's saying. So who saw it first? It was Gomer. Good job, chat room. I did not know that. I figured they would think it was Otis because he might have been, still drinking. I didn't remember. I need to watch it again. Good job, chat room. Thanks. All right, number 10. Where is the wedding in Mayberry? And who gets married? Oh, come on. Oh, no. There is not where. There is a wedding in Mayberry. Who gets married? Okay. No, who do you even need multiple choice for this one? Because you guys know this, even if you haven't watched it, right? I talked about it earlier. Was it Andy and Helen that got married? Was it Barney and Thelma Lou? Was it Howard and Millie? Or was it Goober and Flora? Well, who got married? Well, we know that Rance Howard married them. So it was Barney and Thelma Lou. Barney and Thelma Lou got married. And let's go ahead and say, where did they get married? It was in a barn. They got married in a barn. All right, number 11. Who performed the marriage? Oh, okay. Oh, well, we already know the answer. They don't even use the characters. Is his name, the preacher's character's name is Rance Howard? That cannot be right. Because the question here is, who performed the marriage? Was it Andy Taylor, Rance Howard, Howard Sprague, or the mayor? Rance Howard was the preacher's name, I guess. Okay, I'm going with it. So Rance Howard is the correct answer. Rance Howard. Opie leaves Mayberry to accept a newspaper job in what state? Oh, now that one's a little harder. Opie leaves the newspaper. He leaves Mayberry to go work at a newspaper in what state? Was it New York, Florida, Virginia, or Ohio? Well, I'm going to say it isn't Ohio because Andy just moved back from there. So it's not going to be that. Virginia's real close. I don't know. I'm going to say it's probably New York because, he wouldn't move to Ohio after Andy just moved from Ohio, surely. So I think he took a newspaper job in New York. What do y'all think? That is correct. That is correct. New York. It didn't say New York City, but New York. All right. Man, I don't know how many questions there are. Which Mayberian is working for Opie at the local newspaper? Which Mayberian is working for Opie at the local newspaper? Was it Otis, Howard, Ernest T. Bass, or Ben Weaver? Which Mayberian was working for Opie at the local newspaper? Well, I know this one. It was Howard. Howard Sprague was working for Opie. All right, the new restaurant owner, Wally Butler, occupies the building of what former business in Mayberry? Oh, my goodness. All right, I think I got this. New restaurant owner, Wally Butler, occupies the building of what former Mayberry business? Was it Floyd's Barbershop, Emmett's Fix Shop, Aunt Bee's Canton Palace, or the Shanghai Gardens? Shanghai Gardens. Wally's restaurant is in what former business? Well, if it was Floyd's Barbershop and Emmett, that would be the same as Emmett's Fix Shop, so that's definitely not it. It wasn't Aunt Bee's Canton Place. It had to be Shanghai Gardens. The Shanghai Gardens. Goober says he never takes a good picture. He says he won't allow his photo to be taken until he gets what? Oh my goodness. Goober says he never takes a good picture. He says he won't allow his photo to be taken until he gets a shave, a haircut, a new suit, or a gold tooth. I don't know this one. I'm not going to think it's a gold tooth. I think it's probably a new suit. What do you think? Because he's wearing the same old suit he's always wore in the movie. Kentucky Mike says it's a shave. So I'm going with a shave since folks in the chat room said that. It's incorrect. Oh, it is a gold tooth. It's a gold tooth. The answer is he's not going to get his picture made until he gets a gold tooth. Goober, that sounds like Ernest T would have said that. All right, well, I missed one. All right, let's see. This is the last one. I missed one. Number 16, the last question. Howard Sprague is dating a librarian. What is her name? Howard Sprague is dating a librarian. What is her name? Was it Flora, Millie, Lydia, or Rose? I can't believe it was Gold Tooth. I missed that one. Howard Sprague is dating a librarian. What is her name? Flora, Millie, Lydia, or Rose? The answer, I believe, is Rose. Let's see if I'm right. Yes, it is Rose. It is correct. All right, I got 15 out of 16. I got 15 out of 16. So, all right. Good job. It says, you know as much as the much, you know so much you must be related to someone on the show. Like Karen Knotts. Nice job. All right, so go and take the quiz yourself if you'd like to. I'm sure the questions don't change. They're probably the same questions in both cases, but I will have a link in our show notes for these so that you can take this quiz yourself. Head over to MeTV and check out all the fun Mayberry stuff they have there. And guys, make plans to enjoy yourself and watch the Return to Mayberry this weekend if you get a chance. And if you don't you get a chance to watch it there, watch it, get you a DVD or something and watch it as soon as you can. It's pretty fun. Yeah, the Gold Tooth, I missed that one. Daggone it. So I got 15 out of 16. Some of the folks in the chat room got, or Mike at least says he got 15 out of 16. So anyway, it's still pretty good. We did pretty well. I haven't seen that in a while. I guess I'd better watch it Sunday and pay attention, because there might be more trivia in our future. Friends, I hope you have had a good time. I hope you enjoyed it. It's always fun to spend time talking about Mayberry. The Return to Mayberry movie is special in the sense we get to see our old friends from the Andy Griffith Show. It is different and it's not the same. And the only thing I ever wished was I wish they had made Barney just a little bit more apt. That would be the right way to do it, because it was when Barney was in his 30s, you know, that was funny to see him doing this. But when he's in his later years, I wish he had learned something. But that said, I loved him. I loved the show. I loved being able to see Barney interact with Andy. I loved seeing Gomer and Goober. I loved seeing Otis and Howard and Opie, of course. I loved seeing all these wonderful characters. I've missed, you know, Thelma Lou and Helen. I feel like I missed at least one character. And all the darlings. I loved seeing them all and reconnecting and just reliving that. And to good friends, as Andy said. His speech at the end was so good. And it's definitely different than the original show. I've never tried to watch it without any color. Maybe if I turn the color off, it would be a little different. But I definitely encourage you to take it time and just watch it for the love of the Andy Griffith Show itself, just to see what happened to our friends and where they went. And I think you'll enjoy yourself if you just let it. So, all right, guys, and that's all I've got. We have got to get out of here. The show's running pretty long. I hope you enjoyed this. Just a little trip down the Return to Mayberry, just to get you fired up about watching it and thinking about our friends from the Andy Griffith Show. I would love to hear from you. Give me a call at 888-684-8415. Let MeTV know how thankful you are for them showing the Andy Griffith Show and Return to Mayberry, and just all that they do to help keep Mayberry around for all of us. Folks, until next time, we'll be right back here in Mayberry and talk more about the Andy Griffith Show. We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.